Bro, what's up, man? Nice trip. Yeah. I mean, it's metaverse, like avatars. Yeah. What? So basically, what I did, I went to the Apple playlist, like everything that they use for all their ads and events, and kind of integrated that into. Like I selectively chose the songs so that it's kind of like metaverse feeling, like a tech feeling. Yeah. So yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Like the thing you see there is like Vision Pro, in the middle is the Quest Pro. I think you tried that, and then the one on the right is of course Meta Quest 3, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, what's up, man? Yeah. It's already 6:32, so I'll give it like 3 more minutes to see if more people come, and then I'll start. Yeah. It feels like a showcase event, you know? Yeah. I I want to give it that kind of vibe because as a startup engineer, so. What's up, Julian? Go for it. Go for it. I'm down. Um, I think I should begin because it's 6:35. And yeah, shall we begin? All right. Cool. 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 I'm gonna. Okay, the clicker's not working. I'll click on the thing again. All right. Let's see. All right. Welcome everybody. Can I just get some like noise from the crowd today because it's a shell talk. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like I'm honestly like a very a different guy. Like I'm gonna explain in the entire shell talk like why I'm also a unique person and why I feel like today's gonna be a very big occasion because today's shell talk will be on something specific. That's something that I like. It's on virtual reality. The reason why I called it Beyond Pixels is because it really is. We're going somewhere that's beyond the step of what exists today. We lived in a life where computers are all around us, devices are all around us. They're all pixelated. But what's beyond that? It's going to be virtual reality. So that's really my talk. So yeah, really excited that you guys are here. And of course, we're live so that you can watch this later, or anybody who's not here or who can't come, they could watch it as I speak. So this is going to be a 1-hour event, very long, very dense. I'm going to make sure I'm going to dumb it down because I don't want to be that kind of guy who like says, all the nasty yapping kind of things. I want to make sure that today's shell talk, you at least take something away, like everyone here, I'm assuming some of you guys, VR, some of you guys, you don't. So I want to make it fair for everyone so that this event is really awesome. Okay. So this event, just keep in mind, this is one of the unique events of Shell Talk. This is in a collaboration with another club at UMD called UMD XR Club. Very beautiful logo, very beautiful club. We have a lab. Basically, it's just a club where we showcase you guys, the newest VR headsets, let you guys try out the newest things in this industry, and really give you guys a new glimpse on VR. It's like not a very pessimistic Ready Player One kind of thing, but something that's pretty good. Like it's something that might help you in the future or anytime in the world. So that's our purpose. And of course, no commitment. So, after this meeting, you can go to the XR lab. It's right across at AB Williams over there. It's on the 4th floor. And yeah, just let me know. Like after this event, like I'm down to take you guys there if you guys are interested. So that is that. So this meeting's agenda, okay, I'm a very not structurally organized man. I'm a CS student. So that explains a lot of things. But I want to make sure this meeting is structured to a sense because, I don't want to be that guy who kind of goes off topic every second. I want to make sure that this 1 hour is very special. So I'm going to begin with just who I am, just introduce you guys, build a little ethos. Then I'm going to go into the breakdown of just VR in general. We're going to go all the way, okay? We're going to go to the science, mechanics, basically everything about VR. And I can see a guy here wearing a Vision Pro, which is kind of cool. And then we're going to talk about the metaverse. What the metaverse is, it's a very weird concept, really new. We have a lot of pros and cons about it. A lot of people have heard bad things about it, but I'll let you guys show the other side of it and see. And at the end of the day today, hopefully you actually do see the other side and see the positive side of it. And finally, I'll just end the last few minutes with some Q&A so I can hear from you guys because I don't want to be the one speaking. I want to hear from you guys, like the audience, if you have any thoughts on this or you have your own questions. And again, this is a free space. At least I feel like it is. I want to make sure it's as free as possible so no ideas are like stupid. Like everyone has their own ways of thinking and I want to make sure that you guys have more voice to speak and then I could answer with my best knowledge. All right, so let's begin with the question. Who am I? Who is this guy? I'm sitting here in a shell talk, and I look like a freshman. I don't look like a very big guy, entrepreneur, maybe a little entrepreneur, but you know, who am I? So basically, my name is Russell Mehta. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the coolest looking slide. I spent like hours making this. I'm gonna show you guys this thing again because it's beautiful. Just oh my god, just look at that. That's me. I used Photoshop basically to make this beautiful picture. It kind of depicts who I am. I love virtual reality. You can see me wearing the Oculus Quest 1 headset. Looks really cool, and I love graphic design, so you know that just shows the other side. And let's just know a little more. So first of all, I'm not from here. I'm not American. I'm an international student. I live in another place called Thailand, specifically in Bangkok. It's a beautiful city. You guys should visit it if you have time. That is basically what we call the Mahanakhon skyline. It's basically the icon of our city. It looks really interesting. It has a really cool architecture. And yeah, I'm an international student. I studied in an international school, so that's how I have the accent a little. And I also took APs like you guys, so like nothing different, just the fact that I'm international. And I lived like this is gonna sound weird because it makes no sense, but as we go further, we'll realize the significance of it. But I lived in the most Japanese area, so it felt like I lived in Tokyo in a sense, but I didn't because I was in Thailand. Again, I'll explain why that's a little important. And of course, the food. Food is tasty. I don't know if you guys had Thai food, but you guys should give it a try. Um, I'll give my own personal opinion. I don't like the Thai food here. I feel like the Thai food originally, where it's from, is much better. Of course, it is because you know it's their own thing. Lots of nightlife, but like me, I'm not a nightlife kind of person. I'm not a party guy. So when I was in Thailand, I usually spent most of my time just studying, doing my own kinds of things, and just making this really loving virtual reality and studying more about it. And it's also a very peaceful city. You don't get mugged every day. You don't get freaked out when you walk out 4 in the morning. It's really peaceful. It's actually called the land of smiles. And yeah, I don't know if it's still the land of smiles after inflation, but you know, it's something. And I'm also a huge fan of CGI and technology. That thing right there, if you guys don't know what that is, it's from a movie, an upcoming movie called Tron Ares. The thing about Tron, it's a film by Disney, and I'm a huge fan of Tron. Like I grew up with Tron. I watched it 50 times basically. And if you guys want to watch it again, I still feel like it's a new thing. So like feel free to watch it if you want. I'm super down to make you guys watch it. I'm also obsessed with another movie called Ready Player One. That's you'll realize that yeah, that's actually the reason why I came into VR because that movie really shaped my life and really made me think that yeah, VR is something. It's like it's gonna become the next thing, and that's why I came to this field. I just love it. And yeah, because of CGI and stuff, I watch YouTube channels like Corridor Crew. I don't know if anybody heard of Corridor, but it's a channel about VFX and just more and all that stuff, the nitty gritty behind it. And my life was mostly on technology. Like, of course, Thailand isn't as like new and technologically developed as what you see in the U.S., but it does bring a lot of cool technology whenever it does, and that's the cool part behind it. And I'm a gamer, okay? I don't think you see me if I'm a gamer or not, but I am a gamer. I love video games. So I started with a rip-off Game Boy because, you know, my parents are Asian, so they're not going to make me buy the official one because they're always economical. And they say, you know, Russell, you should study. You should put more money in education than gaming. But then later on, I convinced them to get an Xbox 360 and then a PS4. And then I was like, you know, screw consoles. I think there's something better than console. That's called PC. You know, like PC has graphics cards. You could do way more with it. And I was like, wait a minute. There's something more than PC, and that's VR. So that's what I did. I just bought the Oculus Quest 1. Yo, that I didn't even look at consoles anymore. I'm like, bye bye consoles. It's over. And yeah, that's basically me with that. And the final point that I want to say is that I think beyond the scope of reality. What that means is I'm a very philosophical man, and that's because personally I come from a religion called Jainism. I grew up as a Jain, and basically it's the world's only atheistic religion. So it's between the areas of philosophy and religion, and that's why I got really into philosophy and questioning reality itself. So when I love to think then of course, like processor itself, the processor is also computing a lot of things behind it, the depth sensors and everything, like just understanding where you are. So let's actually, without telling you so much, I'll actually explain like why like, how I can visualize this for you. These are like all the different possible ways you can move in the headset. Like you can, move left and right, up and down. Like, there are different words for it. It's like very complicated. But basically, this is crucial because there's a lot of different components when it comes to tracking. Right? Like you could be moving at any single point, and it's really crazy how these trackers help visualize that for you and make it happen. And this is an example of point cloud. So what Mehta does, and it's kind of cool, and you'll see it here, that they're playing table tennis, right? But they're technically playing it virtually. So what they're doing is these trackers kind of create these dots around you. Okay? Like they're just creating these dots, and it kind of saves it in the cloud so that in the future, when you wear the headset again, it will know where you are. So when it creates all these dots, as you see, it can understand that, hey, like there's something here, there's something there. It doesn't create the shape for you, but it just points all the dots using the LiDAR sensors and everything. So it knows that, hey, there's something here, there's something there, like just using a lot of dots, which is kind of cool. So because in the near future, you might be wearing a headset, I might be wearing a headset, and if you want to play something together, like virtual table tennis or something, this would be very crucial, especially with point clouds. And yeah, this is also like just new advancements. So you can see like how those trackers on the side help like visualize like where she is and everything, and like you can see that virtually in the environment. And this is like a new Mehta research study. So basically, they're finding a way to like if you extend your arms even more, it can also realize that, hey, like my hands are still there, it's not gone, which is pretty cool. And they're actually launching something new. Mark Zuckerberg made a joke about this, that we're getting legs in VR, and they are. You can see that like as he moves, the legs are moving too. And how it technically works, it's kind of cool, is these two cameras down there are kind of tracking your legs, and that's kind of cool. Like just seeing that, oh, my legs are in VR. Because generally speaking, when you go to VR, you don't see your legs at all, and it's just it ruins the immersion. And just having this now is like pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna talk about lenses, and I'm in a gen ed class called Physics 106. I will personally say it is a very difficult class, but you do learn a lot. So I'll kind of dumb it down for you a little because it is a little complicated, but I also want to make sure you learn something like this. So basically, stereoscopic vision is a very crucial concept when it comes to like vision. What I mean by that is a lot of people ask me, and I even ask myself, that why is it that when you wear a VR headset, you see like two lenses? Why isn't it like, oh, I can just wear it and it's just a single screen and like you can just go in, right? It's a good question. And the reason is because in the real world, and I want you guys to do this experiment if you guys could go along with me. Put your finger up here and try looking at like different angles. Like close one of your eyes and then close the other. And you'll see that like the finger has a little disparity, right? You see some, like it's not exactly at the same place when you look at the different eyes. And this is the crucial concept behind binocular disparity. And you can see that here because your eyes are inclined at a certain angle. And it sounds like, wait, why do we have that? That's kind of weird. But it's because it helps us understand depth of perception. Like I can see that, hey, you're in front of me and the person behind is behind me, right? And that is really crucial with human beings to understand depth. And the thing is, we have to mimic reality itself to make VR feel real. If you don't make VR feel real and just make it like a flat screen again, it will go again with the concept of the flat screen concept, which we want to go away from. So this is the main idea, that there is this thing called stereoscopic vision, and that's why it's really crucial to have two lenses that has its own kind of thing, so that it really feels like we're actually looking at something with that, which is kind of cool. Alright, and again, with lenses, we initially started with a thing called Fresnel lenses. It's a really weird pronunciation because I always call this Fresnel lenses. I think it should be called Fresnel lenses. It's called Fresnel. And I'm not going to go really super complicated to how lenses work. But basically, does anybody know what refraction is? You've probably heard of refraction. But I'll reiterate because it's a very crucial concept in lenses. It's basically like when you pass light through another medium, right? Like you have air and then suddenly you put it in glass. Light can bend. And that bending is basically, the bending of light is basically called refraction. It's the same thing that happens with lenses. Lenses can be designed as convergent lenses or divergent lenses. If it's converging, every light initially passes in a straight line and then it like converges. Converges just means it converges to a certain point. Diverging is like, okay, if you bring it in, it's just going to start diverging away from you. And you guys don't want to do that because that leads to chromatic aberration, and that's really weird.
not really immersive when you want to use it in VR. Now, the question always arises, why do we use specifically for LEDs? Why do headsets itself start using this initially? It looks like this. And basically the reason is because they're very thin and they're very light. And the thing about headsets is comfort. Like it's a headset. You're gonna wear this in front of your face and you don't want it to be heavy. So this is why it's very important to have it thin and light. It's also like easy to fabricate it, so like, you know, it's not very complex, you know, you can just make it easily. It can have different shapes, but like again, it doesn't matter because just having this is a very standardized thing. And also if you see it, this is technically an example of converging lens, and it looks very, like, it looks really weird at first, like why is it converging? It's because if you think about it, initially the light would be going this way, right? But it's actually turning this way, not like something away from you, right? It's still converging towards you. So it's kind of like even distribution of light, which is not bad because you get an even distribution of light. So it's not like some areas are brighter and some areas are not bright. It's good for you so that your eyes don't burn out. And the light absorption is also very minimal. Now, I would say the only issue with, you know, these kind of lenses is the fact that it could lead to chromatic aberration. If you see these lights coming from like different directions and it's just evenly coming into you, like you're gonna see red somewhere else, blue somewhere else. It's not like converging through your like perfect eye spot and like in the back of your retina. So you're not gonna get like the cleanest view of like everything. And that's important in VR because if you start working in VR, start reading stuff in VR, lenses are very important. And that's why I want to talk about pancake lenses. It sounds really cool. Not pancake as the food, pancake as the lens. And basically it's something new that Mehta kind of brought it up, and it's kind of a new way to kind of think about how we should take lenses. It is also, I believe, a converging lenses because as I said, like, bro, what is going on there, right? Like the light is coming to you, but then it's like refracting in so many ways. But what it's doing, I'll just simplify it, is that it's converging all to your perfect spot. So what it's doing is you can now see things more clearly. So this is actually an example of a pancake lens. You can see that you see no circles and lines and stuff, and it's a very clear headset. And what it does is it avoids this effect called screen door effect. And what a screen door effect is, that have you guys ever seen a screen door? It's kind of like it's a type of door that just has little lines on it and stuff. And it's just that kind of feeling if you use the Fresnel lenses. And pancake lenses avoids them. And you actually feel a little more immersed. And at the same time, my mom also used the Quest 1, which had the Fresnel lenses, and she just used this. Initially, she hated the Quest 1 because she felt nausea and everything. But having the pancake lens somehow just making things more clear and just more like immersive, it was more comfortable. And that's kind of cool to see, like, just how these kind of innovations can basically help us. The only issue with this, it's very costly, so it's not a very good. This is why this is like $500, but the Quest 2 is like just 200-ish or $300. So just increased cost of prices, but like at the same time, you're getting better quality. All right, so screen and PPD. So PPD basically means pixels per inch. The thing is, when you start comparing VR headsets in the market, you can't use like, hey, resolution. You can't say that, oh, this is a 1920 by 1080 headset and this is like another kind. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, what really matters is the density, the amount of pixels that are hitting. If there are like more pixels, like how I mean is if there are less amount of pixels, meaning you see more of them a little more clearly, you're gonna get that screen movement. And that's not really good. It kind of sucks. So having more of those pixels and basically making it more smaller makes your text more clear. And that's a really important part about pixels per degree. It's just the fact that like having more of it makes things more clear. And you can see that example over there. There are these comparisons chart. There is a formula behind it. It's not complicated, but I won't go over it because it's pretty much unnecessary. But it's just this idea that you can keep in mind that when you want to compare VR headsets, you typically want to usually look at the people. And LCD and OLED. So the thing is, I tried to know a lot about LCDs and OLED because I haven't studied this at all. But it is important. Like this is the type of screens that you see, but like your phones might be LED or LCD or OLED. So basically, liquid crystals basically have a backlight. Okay, like they have something in the end called backlight, and they're basically artificially generating light in a sense. And it's like a shutter in the back of the polarizer that brings that light for you on the screen. But OLED is kind of like, nah, bro, we're not gonna have backlights. We're just gonna give these like real colors. So the thing about this, the main takeaway, like why OLED exists, LCD, is just because there are truer colors here. You're gonna see a truer black color. With LCD displays, you can't really see that. So, at the end of the day, OLED displays typically have more higher contrast ratio. Things feel vibrant, more colorful. LCD, not really, but again, at the same time, there are other good sides of it, and it's getting better. Like, I believe this is an LCD display. I've checked the thing, but even with these kind of headsets, it's not a problem. So like, because they're better optimized algorithms, better ways to figure out how to make these things better, you don't really need an OLED. It's just that OLED is more costly, things feel more true. LCD is a little artificial. So that's that. Yeah, and then there's like the audio side to it. So you can see that every like inside like these kind of headsets standalone have their own audio input output. Basically, the thing is like if it's cheaper, you're gonna probably get a Mac kind of audio, Mac kind of input output. If you pay a little more for like things like Vision Pro, you're gonna get higher quality audio, it has spatial audio and everything. So again, it goes on the price point of things. So that's the main idea about it. Now, let's talk about controllers again. So typically we use these things, right? Like these things, and it's a little ergonomic. If you think about it, it seems unintuitive, but as you start using it, it's like it's really with your hand. It's like this is your new hand. You really feel like you're becoming something else, and that's like ergonomic things. And then later on, we realize that this kind of sucks because we're artificially creating a hand. When we can actually just bring our hands in VR, and this is actually an example of hand tracking. And hand tracking is now official in Meta, so you can see these kind of things like your hands are everywhere. You can interact with the environment using the trackers that exist. And with Meta Quest 3, with the new chips, it's already better. And I think that's the coolest part. That's the coolest part about Meta, at least. As you can see, that they're just tracking using the sensors and everything. And yeah, it just feels more immersive, like bringing everything into VR. And you can see that we're stepping each day into a better. All right. So again, I think this is the final part of like the deep dive of this thing. It's basically like the strap. So you can see that without a strap, you can't put this over your head. It's just gonna fall down. And that's the importance of a strap. I want to talk a little about this because there's a lot of debate about it. Because you make your headsets cheaper using these kind of straps, it makes this thing heavy. So if you wear this headset right now, like it's gonna feel front heavy so much that for hours later, like you can't use this at all. But this is why you would want to buy something like an Elite strap. Now the thing about the Elite strap is, there's like more back support, so it's my like front weight and back weight balance. So it's like balancing both sides so that it doesn't feel heavy at all. But it's costly. So there are a lot of things to say about this that it is necessary to have like more support for yourself so you can lock the headset in and then feel like you're actually like immersed. But again, like you have to pay more to feel more comfortable, which is again an argument that alright, so we talked a lot about the deep dive of XR. I think I talked a lot about these things. But then let's actually review what VR is, like as I talked about everything. So basically the real definition of VR is this. It's basically a computer-generated environment. As I said, it's basically computer graphics, and now it's like a computer-generated environment that you're creating. And it's kind of like their objects, scenes, everything that seems real, but it's not. And you make their user feel like you're really immersed in the surroundings. That's what VR is. It's literally that. It's not a headset. It's just a concept. So how I think of it is VR is like the interface. VR is like the interface, and virtual reality headsets are the implementation. They're applying that concept so they make that true. And then this is like an example from the XR Club. So we usually explain like there's so many like words that confuse people, right? Like VR is the most popular one, but then we have mixed reality, we have augmented reality, and then we have extended reality, which is called XR, which is the name of it. So XR is basically the umbrella term of like all these different words. So if you want to talk about just general gist of like this field, you just say XR. But VR is kind of like the emergent side of it. Like you just go to a whole new world, a whole new place while you're still in the mixed reality. Now the thing is, this is a mixed reality headset, and it's because they advertise it that way. It's more like because of better tracking, you can bring VR stuff to your place. It's kind of like in Startup Shell, I could be playing like Stranger Things, and I think you saw it maybe in the loading screen if you were here. But you can bring like demons outside of this wall and stuff, and it's like it's more integrated inside the space, and that's what mixed reality is. Augmented reality is similar, but it's just that it doesn't have depth of vision. So like if you put your hands over it, like it won't cover the thing. So the thing about augmented reality is it kind of partially keeps track of the environment, but not fully. So it doesn't feel as immersive as head-on. And that's, I think, basically all the differences. Alright, and this is like the final topic. I don't know if I'm almost running out of time, but basically we're gonna talk about the metaverse. This thing that we've basically been waiting for. Like, what is the metaverse? So I want to start off with the book. So there's a book called Virtual Society. It's a really good read. It is a little confusing, but it does talk about virtual reality and where it will go in the next few years. And basically, it talks about these two examples, and it talks about the fact that metaverses have existed in the past, like for quite a long time. Take for example the Belki and Tepe. It's like a weird word. And basically, it's kind of like one of the temples. It's built during the Stonehenge years, and it's kind of like bark animals and things. And it's kind of like a concept where it has its own surreal understanding of the environment, right? So like what I'm trying to say is people in the olden times, they made their own type of idea. They made their own type of stories that everyone connected with each other, their own beliefs. And that kind of created a new reality, like a new like surreal world that people were imagining. And another example would be the Great Pyramids, right? Like people in ancient Egypt, they believed that there's something to it afterlife, like there's something there. And they, maybe it's real or not, but they developed it and they believed in it. And we can, sorry, I think I'm just going to So basically, they're creating this new reality. That's what I'm trying to say. With this new afterlife, all these different dimensions that they're trying to talk about, it exists. It existed in the past. And then we can start bringing that topic into now, like the metaverse itself. So the definition of the metaverse is basically like a collective virtual shared space, and it's created by the convergence of like convergence of virtually enhanced physical reality and physically persistent virtual spaces, including the sum of all virtual worlds, AR, and VR. That's a very long word. It's a really long sentence. I love to be a minimalistic guy. Really apologize. But this is the definition. But I can break it down. So basically, it's like you're creating a virtual shared space. So it's like you are there, I am there. It's kind of like a network, but like social media to another level 3 of social media. And yeah, like the persistent and virtual space is basically saying that even if you're not there, it still exists, and it keeps on changing based on the user data. So it's not just you; it's also everyone around the world that changes virtual reality day by day. So specifically the metaverse. And yeah, basically bringing AR, the internet, all technology together is making this. So in the book, it talks about 3 different kind of metaverses. There is like the first type of metaverse, which is kind of like the thematic virtual realities. It's kind of like more about interacting. It's more about you. It's an entertainment, right? Like, and you can see that with like this is like a recording from the Meta Quest 3. It's like their own operating system, and basically it's more like initially when it first started, it felt like it's just you. It's just you alone in this, like playing movies, entertainment. It's more about entertaining yourself. But then that's where level 2 comes in. Level 2 is basically economically integrated virtual societies. It's a very big word. Basically what it's saying is it's kind of like Ready Player One. You're bringing your own currencies, and it's actually affecting your life. Like you can bring investments, everything. It's more like schools are there now, and basically you are interacting actively with people. You could be miles away, and I could be somewhere else, and we're still talking, and it feels real. And then finally, it's level 3, and level 3 is like something that we want. It's kind of like where it becomes integrated with our life, VR and reality. And this is basically like a topic where I want to, I think, talk about. It's the fact that reality itself, like virtual reality, is not going to replace the world. I think everyone has this like understanding that okay, no, virtual reality is taking us away. It's an escapism kind of thing. But I think if you think of it another way, it's kind of like an extension of reality. Like I said, I'm a very philosophical person. I love to think beyond the scope of reality. And the thing is, reality is limited. You can't do a lot of certain things, but we can do that in the digital. We created a new dimension. We created a new digital place. And we can do a lot. And if you think about it, we can change physics. Some people are already creating their own studies on creating their own atoms, digital atoms. People are trying that out. We're now going to brain-computer interfaces to understand more about us. Maybe creating inception-like universes, digital worlds. It's more like it's integrated. It's like an extension. That the things that you can't do in the real world, but you can do it there. And it's more about you. Figure out your identity. And I think maybe in the next few years, just how people think will be very different from how we think now. So maybe talking about this right now might sound a little weird, but then 10 years down the line, this will be like, oh dang, Russell actually said that. That is super cool. This might become, I don't know, a 10 million view video. I'm not trying to give a hope, but right now it's like what, 1 view, 10 views, I don't know. But it's a big deal. I think metaverse in the future will be something. Yeah, and I think I'm like almost kind of running out of time, so I'll go really quickly on this. Basically, this is kind of the main architecture, the metaverse. The word decentralized, red flag. Crypto, blockchain, red flag. Web 3.0, more red flags. XR and IoT, and then AI for computer networks. Now, I know red flags for the first 3, and it's like metaverse is not going to happen. But let me show you the other side. So basically, a lot of people kind of understand decentralized, but they also don't understand it fully. And if you do, you might say that, well, I mean, people are trying it, but they're ironically making it centralized. So basically, if you guys don't know what a decentralized and centralized system is like, okay, in a centralized system, it's like only one thing is in control of everything. A decentralized system is where nobody's in control of anything. It's basically the computer doing itself, computing its own things. And that's important in blockchain. If you guys haven't heard of blockchain, you probably did. It's a very big word. People hate it because it's like, guys, we're going to teach you guys how to make millions of dollars in blockchain. But it never happens, guys. Like, nah. I know Bitcoin went up, but like it might go down again. It's very unpredictable. But it's a really interesting concept. Because I say it's unpredictable, right now it is, but many years into the future, this will become very stable because it's happening. Things take time to develop. Rome is not built in a day. And this is an example of blockchain. Like, for example, Bitcoin, if you want to do a transaction in Bitcoin, it's basically a block. Think of it like a virtual block. And that block is basically being processed by nodes. Like, if you think of linked list, oh, that node, that node, that node. And basically, those nodes are like us. It's like maybe a crypto miner, a person who wants to maybe volunteer with a computer, or maybe just the company itself has computers that run the code. And basically, all these computers try to confirm it using many cryptography kind of things, which I won't go into. And then once they validate it, then that node is like received that, hey, like this is done. And then they put that block into an exchange. Like there are other blocks that are also doing the same things, and they group them together, and it's a blockchain. And it's basically distributed across the network, and that's the concept behind decentralizing. The fact that you don't need a bank to do all this work. You don't need a middleman. You're just letting this AI do everything for you, which is very revolutionary. And things take time for that. And then the transactions get and then, yeah, let's talk about Web 1.0 to be a little. 1.0, as I said, static, can't do anything. Just look at the website. Oh wow, like Larry Berman's website, really cool. Like you learn about a lot of stuff about Java, cool. And then there's Web 2.0, which is basically social exchanges. So you can see Instagram, Facebook. You're now interacting with people. You're messaging people. Discord. You can now voice call. You can do a lot of crazy things. Basically playing video games, interacting with each other. And then there will be Web 3.0. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what Web 3.0 is. And that's totally understandable because it's a very overheard word to the point where people don't really care about asking what this is. And basically what it is the main idea behind Web 3.0 is just the fact that you want to decentralize it. You want to think of data differently and do something more. So that's where VR can come in, that's where the idea of blockchain can come in. The metaverse is basically going to become Web 3.0, and it's really going to change how we interact with the future. And that, I think, is really cool because who knows, in the future, if there's a future TED Talk or Shell Talk or whatever you want to call it, or maybe my own lectures or like, anything in the future, maybe like CS classes, all of those could be done digitally. And it might sound like a joke right now, but it might be something really revolutionary in the future. So something great to think about. Yeah, and then XR and IoT, just Internet of Things, bringing a lot of things together, like that are connected to the internet and all the networks, and bringing XR into it, and virtual reality, all those stuff. It's gonna really reimagine how we think of the internet. If you watch the movie Tron, I watched it 50 times, as I said. I'm obsessed with it. But basically, the idea, as I saw, it's like Tron itself. If you watch the movie, it's more like they're visualizing an operating system. Tron is a hero. He's supposed to save the city, but Tron is a Windows defender. He's basically an antivirus. And that's kind of cool to think about how these different concepts, you can think of it in a different angle if you think of it in another way, which is like just visualizing a network of things or an operating system. I'm really excited about the future. It's really cool. And then, of course, AI and computer graphics. We need to learn how to optimize things. Worlds will be big. Universe will be big. We saw Ready Player One. We want that kind of stuff, but we need more AI in it. So I think in the future, you don't have to worry about the job. I think there will be jobs in the future. I just feel like things will be different. We're in a stage where there is confusion. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of concerns, and that's good. Having this time, it's a great time to think something different. And that's, I think, what I wanted to talk about, which is the fact that VR can change the way we all think and bring new things to the world, and make the world feel new. Make the world feel like Renaissance. Make the world feel like Golden Age. Make everyone feel like, you know what, you're doing this, I'll do this too, and more ideas come in, more innovation comes in, and that's what I want to see. So that's basically it about my Shell Talk. So if I want to give it to you guys, if you guys have any questions and your own thoughts and stuff, we can talk it out. But yeah, this is my Shell Talk. So thank you for listening.
VR.
VR or AR? XR because then it's unfair. I would say VR. And I think the reason is because, sure, AR is amazing, but I feel like if you want to create something new, something like, if you want to start imagining things that you can't imagine in the real world, I love to be deluded, we all know it. And I think having virtual reality in the sense that will be really good, because you start to imagine things that you can't see. What's up?
What are you doing on like a startup shop for your computer graphics?
That's a good question. So like your question might be like, hey, how is it like related to computer graphics or like just what am I doing in general?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically that's a good question because why am I a startup shop guys? So the thing is I am doing something about a virtual reality game. So you've probably heard of like Unity and Unreal. The thing is when you develop right now things about VR with these engines, it's really complicated. It's really hard and it's not really designed for it, you know? Like VR itself is a very new thing, a new concept. So just, you know, like right now what it's capable of doing is making 3D games. And it can make VR games. And you're totally right that like, you know, what's the point of making a game engine? But having its own kind of engine that's just dedicated for VR, you're unlocking a niche, right? So you're kind of like creating this new system that's really just designed for VR because it's going to be its own thing. It's not going to be like, you're going to be living in the next future with flat screen. So we really need a new system where you could just do everything from VR. And I think right now it might sound like a small thing, but as we build up the niche, we can see that result happen. Yeah, so I mean like, if you guys have any questions, like of course you can talk to me later, like I'm already here for a while. If you want to also visit the XR lab, feel free, like just let me know, I can open the lab right now for you guys. I don't know if it's still open, but I have this final access, so. You have a question?
Yeah, this is like very random, more so theoretical. This is kind of a comment in your slide about the use of microphones instead of like such as just like having one flat screen. It kind of got me thinking, has there ever been, again, this is like hypothetical, very like abstract, but like, has there ever been like an attempt to maybe place any sort of like eye tracking sensors behind, I guess like the screen?
So like maybe implementing like how you can track your eyes and things.
Yeah, because wouldn't that technically address the issue of perception?
That's actually a good question. So you were talking about like why the binocular disparity, you know, kind of
But
thing.
yeah, I think that could also just come down to like technical constraint.
Right.
How do you install the sensor behind the
Yeah,
screen and actually have the screen function?
Yeah. I think that's actually a very smart idea. I never thought of it like that. That's really genius by the way. How I thought of how I think the thing about binocular disparity works, and actually let's talk about the eye tracking first. It exists. Like right now there are eye tracking things, technology that is integrated with VR. So I'm actually gonna just go back. So if you all the way yeah, so if you saw this loading screen, that thing in the middle is the MetaQuest Pro. And that's one of the, you know, pro kind of things of MetaQuest. And basically it has eye tracking. So basically if you move your eyes, it can track that, hey, like your eyes are moving this way. It's a safer Vision Pro, so if you move your eyes, it can also track it for you. But the thing about binocular disparity, and that's actually a good point. I'll actually move this slide away because it's a little distracting. Yeah, so the thing about why we can't really use eye tracking with like how the stereoscopic thing
Yeah, perception.
is because how reality works. You know, like it sucks. Like physics exists, and like we can try it. I mean, I think it works, but just having this is kind of like the basis of how like our eyes work. We have like the limitation that we don't have one eye, right? We don't have mono vision. We have like bi-vision kind of thing.
Yeah.
So because of that, like if we use the eye tracking way, the computer itself will have to like really analyze that. Hey, like your eyes have to be here, your eyes have to be there. So right now it could be a technical constraint, but who knows? Maybe in the future, like as you said, and because we saw in the Ready Player One headsets that they don't really have a mono kind of thing. They usually show it as not as a like a stereoscopic thing, but as a single thing. So maybe in the future, who knows? Like as NVIDIA makes the technology better, brings more AI services, and then more inventions, innovations in computer graphics. I'm pretty sure in the near future this can happen. Like it's a really good thought. So
It's more like a personal question, but like how do you find a balance between like bosses and startup shop and like startup club and social?
that's a very good question. It sucks. It's a pain. I'm not gonna lie. But I think the thing about I think I dedicated my life into thinking that I came to this university not to do a job. It's more like I came here because I wanted to learn and learn something really specific, which is computer graphics, right? And using those ideas, how I think is even in the near future, like people say degrees don't matter. I think what really matters is how you like apply the things you choose, right? So for me, I think it's really integrated life. It's really hard to explain. Yes, I don't really spend a lot of time with Startup Shell right now because it's hard because there's academics, there's a lot of things. But I think every day I'm actively learning. I always question myself that, how is this related to what I'm actually going to apply? Otherwise it sucks. Like why am I at UMD? It's a waste of money. It's like $60,000. It's quite a lot of money for international students. So yes, balancing life is hard. It's not easy, but it's also fun. I feel like if life was super easy, I just took the easy route. Sure, I could go the normal way, but it's really boring. I'm like the badass guy. Like I'm the challenging dude. I want to make the next level stuff. Maybe not the next Steve Jobs, but the first Russell company. So I'm really excited to see what happens. But to answer that question, it's hard. But it's fun. I think I saw a raising hand over there. Did you raise your hand? Or?
Oh, no, no.
Oh, okay. That sucked. Is the Apple vision for worth it? Oh, worth it? He has the vision for right because he is an example of a buyer. I would say it's a really good point because how I think of the Vision Pro, and many people say it, is it's intended to fail. People say it that because an example, some guy said in the past, from his YouTube channel, but I don't know which Mac version was it in the past, but they were basically the first people to basically discover the idea of graphical user interface, right? Everyone in the world in the past believed that GUI sucks. Like computers are computers. You should use terminal and stuff. Microsoft believed that way too. But Apple, Steve Jobs, I don't know if he was high or whatever, but he said that nah, man, like everything needs to be like displayed, like visualized, and it failed. Like that product failed. It was very expensive, but people to this day lived on to the fact that GUIs are the thing. Like see this, guys. Like you're actually seeing this on a computer. It's all based on GUIs. I think that's the same concept of Vision Pro. Right now, I really appreciate one side where, they're just a product, right? And just showing an Apple, dude, like their products are really good. If you look at an Apple product, you're like, I'm gonna buy it. I really want to buy it. Okay, sure, the tech sucks. Maybe it's not as best as what other headsets are, but you want to get that. But I think what Apple did good was showing that, VR might be a thing. And they want to bring that forward. And I feel like that's the same idea that they're going to do as the thing that they did with GUIs, but now with VR, that people should now come inside VR. Of course, they're not calling it VR, they call it spatial computing, like, bro, but that's a different story. I mean, I can argue with Tim Cook if I get successful. But I would say it's not good, if you want to sum it up, right? I'm not saying it sucks. It's a very good product. If you look at it, it's probably the best thing you've probably seen. It's heavy, but it's not the product you'll probably wear every day. I think Meta Quest 3, and I know I'm probably direct quoting the Lizard Man, but he's right. Like, it's a better value. For $500, you're kind of getting almost the same things, but maybe a little better. Like with Vision Pro, you can't officially use Steam VR, meaning you can't play video games on PC at all. You actually have to tweak with the stuff and really figure it out. But Meta hasn't. It hasn't done. It's just they need to maybe figure out more stuff, how to figure out the UI and everything. But they're in the direction. So I'll go for Meta, not for Vision Pro.
It's kind of just like a general, I don't know, I think it's more to think about building products, demographics or actual application. Because I think common mistakes sort of stay in the lab and something work really hard and maybe it's great, but what are the actual applications? Like who uses it every day? How big is that market? What are their current alternative subsystems? How much they cost that? But how do you bring that aspect? How do you bring that? How do you bring that? Weave that sort of thing into your work, or how do you see people in your space, or is it primarily focused on the technical requirements of the product and making sure that it's developed in high quality consistency?
So is this like a question more related to the startup I'm doing, or just like?
Oh, I have no idea. Just like
sorry, you can't do the software part. I'm sorry, you can't do the software part without the hardware part. Right. So I think right now, VR is a niche. It's a very small niche. It's the same thing like the dot-com bubble, right? Like in the past, people were talking everything about like, you know, Silicon Valley, the new tech stuff. Like there's a new bubble, right? Like this technology sector is improving, new services are going out of it. I think that's the same as VR, where like right now, like the people are not fully like into it. It's just a niche. Like the niche people like me who are very like into VR, we try it out. And what we do is like just experience a lot with it, try a lot of things, new things, and then maybe build new things out of it. Um, when it comes to people, I think demographics wise, I think it's increasing. And I think the reason why it's increasing is because over time technology is getting better, right? The CPU performance, hardware wise, everything is better. And also new innovations in computer graphics, and also just new ideas, right? UI, UX in VR. Like there's a whole new thing going on as well. So just because people are, it takes time to figure things out, and the reason why the demographics are low, it's really because of that. It's a new field, and people are still trying to figure out what the metaverse is, what VR is. But I would say maybe like a few years later, I mean, we've seen how ChatGPT just in 2-3 years became like crazy. You know, it went from like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, to literally figuring out a 250, you know, page kind of paper kind of thing. You know, like it has potential in just 2 years. So it's the same thing about VR. We don't know where it is, but as it slowly grows over time, I can see that people will start integrating. In some ways, are you know just the applications of it. Like first of all, you're integrating everything that's on your computer now on a screen, so you don't have to like bring this bulky laptop. But yes, at the same time, you're asking that, hey, this is also very bulky. Like the bag looks pretty heavy. Like, if you see this, like I wouldn't want to carry this in a bag, right? But you can see that eventually Meta also created the glasses. And what they're trying to do is MKBHD put it in a way where they're trying to merge VR and glasses together so that the form factor is like a little lower, like it's smaller and easy to wear. And at the same time, it's the same level as you doing stuff on your computer. Now it's just virtually enhancing. So I would say that from there, people will figure out newer applications, newer ideas. And,
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on like, I know like the main ideas are kind of like a early one kind of setup, but what are your thoughts on incorporating like other elements? Because like most people carry like really powerful laptops, especially like M series like chips coming out and stuff. But how hard is it to just make like a kind of VR system where it's just like a screen and like input and everything's processed through like high data transfers?
that's actually good because this is actually going in the direction where Qualcomm was introducing the XR series. So basically, that's what they're trying to do. They want to do something where they standardize the CPU thing, but at the same time, they're giving you better performance. And of course, it takes time. Of course, like, you're not going to see the result right now, but maybe a few years down the line, you'll see that. No, like this headset has potential to do what you're saying. The same as like what M series is doing already, right? So you can see that in the Vision Pro. I think Vision Pro uses like R1 chip and then like I think one of the M series chip. I don't know if I'm wrong, please correct me, but like you can see that there. That just making the best quality headset, you could see the best things. It's just that it's very expensive. So I think you should think about the Moore's law, like many other concepts that over time as chips get cheaper, they're also innovating. Right? It gets cheaper because we're innovating. So I can tell you that many years down the line, or maybe even less, like you're gonna start seeing like PC in VR because it's capable of that's
I was gonna ask, where do you see VR heading in the long run? Like, would you feel concerned that like at one point maybe VR would become like almost too similar to reality, where like you couldn't like really decipher it? Like, do you feel like it has that potential?
yeah. That's so there's a concept that I don't know which got the name, but basically he was talking about the Grand Canyon effect, right? So if you use VR headset and basically just think of yourself like you're in the Grand Canyon, right? Imagine the most perfect system. You can't replicate, like you can't discern between what this is and that is. You'll always think in the end that you want to see the real Grand Canyon. Like you'll always have that feeling deep inside that you've still seen this virtually, but not the real life. So I think there's always this other argument that yes, things can feel like virtual, like super virtual, you can't distinct at all. But there's always going to be that line where you'll realize this is virtual and this is real. I think this is human psychology there. Of course, it depends whose hands this is under with, right? So this is why I love Web 3.0. Of course, right now it's not looking good because people are showing the wrong sides of it. People are misusing it because nobody knows what it means. But once we use it right, right. It's like you're decentralizing things. So it's not like anyone is in control. It's more like Meta is not in control. So there's no corporate system there, no capitalism. It's more like we'll be able to make sure that virtual reality won't replace reality, but rather it's just a place where it extends it. You can do more than what you can put in a book. It's a lot of good questions, guys.